Hello everyone. I was the one who did the 250 lithophane. Figured I would show everybody kind of how I did it and what was easy. So the first thing you're going to need here is you're going to need a CMYK bundle or CMKY depending on how you say it, which means it's going to be cyan, magenta, key, and yellow. Key is usually white. Um, and this is the bundle that I use in particular is the Sunlu one here, the 2.0. A little more expensive, but I think it comes out nicer. Um, Something to take into consideration while you're looking at this is your color chart. So you can see here how your color chart works. If you use all three, you get black, yellow, and cyan, you get green, magenta, and cyan, you get dark blue, and magenta and yellow, you get red. So bear that in mind when you're looking at different photos and when you're trying to do different things. The second thing you're going to need is you're going to need these. They're the Lamp Kit 001s, same ones Bamboo's website sells. I just find them cheaper for the quantity at Amazon, and they work just as well. You can see they're USB plugins, which I'm sure you have some lying around the house, and they come in 3 different color tones, which is kind of nice. So, with that, a couple of things that you want to look for is you're going to open up your file drive, usually in your downloads here, and we're going to find our photo that we're going to use, which you guys saw. So this is the photo I used. You want a nice clean background, non-noisy is what they call it, and you want to make sure it's a very sharp image that you find and use or make yourself. You also want to make sure that it stays within that color spectrum wheel that you saw. This is not RGB, this is CMKY. So with that, knowing that, you're not going to want to go into purples and grays and neon colors and stuff. This is going to be for your core fundamental colors that you saw on that color wheel, which obviously you see, reds, blues, yellows, whites, blacks. So that's the photo I have that I used. And I did a little bit of cleanup on it, but I'll show you how to do that as we go along. So I use in makerworld, you'll find a thing that says Maker Lab. So click on Maker Lab, opens up in a new window. They have a lot of neat stuff here if you haven't played with it. One of my favorites, though, is Make My Lithophane. So, Make My Lithophane, I already have this one built, obviously, because I've used it. So, this one I upscaled a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to where I had it, which was at 150. And you'll see it's 150 wide by 180 tall. So it's about 7 by like 8.5, I think, if memory serves. With that, a couple things to notice here is notice the picture here versus the picture here. They're similar, but they're not quite the same. With that being said, a couple of things to consider is come into your image. You will find exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows. I want you to go ahead and kind of play with that. These all should be at 0 when you start. And you'll see I've left these alone because those are my favorites to do is 1 and -1. And you'll see why. So you can get the image pretty close to here. Now I like exposure up a little bit because it kind of opens up that white and really starts showing off those edges. Contrast, you kind of want to pull around into the region that you're comfortable with. I like mine right around 0.7, and that cleaned up the image relatively nice, I think, in my opinion. Highlights you can mess with. Don't go overboard on it or underboard with it. You can see up here in the corner the image changing as you slide this back and forth. I keep mine at 0 just because it's not doing anything for me. Same thing with the shadows. Shadows I like to bring down, usually down to about 0.8, because as you can see, it brings those colors out really nice, especially working with the CMYK series. Saturation and temp, those adjust. Now, I like a higher saturation. It brings out that black a little more and really brings out those little details up here in the corner. Temp, I kind of leave alone because as you can see, you can go blue if you want, or you go the other spectrum and go orange. So I like to keep mine at 0 or right around 0. Uh, it gives you this. Now, If you wonder what it's going to look like, you can go ahead and turn this on and it'll show you where the light's going to shine through, kind of take into where you're looking, including all these little splotches here and the way it's lightening out. You're going to have a slight haze because of the way it's designed. Now, once you're happy and satisfied with your image and you've used the ones you've done, you can go into Lightbox and you can change the color of this if you want to match something. I just usually keep mine black. There's no reason to change that out. You'll come up here, find the export button, choose the printer you've got and the nozzle size you're using. I always throw mine on my bed slinger, so my A1 with the 0.4. Click continue. This will obviously generate what you need, and it will come up with a 3MF file that you can use. I'm going to cancel because I already have that done. So once you've done that and you've got all that completed, you're going to go ahead and you're going to open up your bamboo slicer. And this is kind of where the fun details come into play. Uh, we will go ahead and go over some of that, and then I will show you the final product, how I put it together, what it looks like on and off again, just so you kind of have an idea. So what I'll do is you come into prepare up here, make sure your A1's here, make sure all your colors are already lined up, which I do. You can open your file one of two ways. You can either come in, do new project, either open project or new project, doesn't matter. I choose open project. What that'll do is it'll pull up your downloads where everything's at, or you can control I on the keyboard, scroll down to what you have your lithophane set as, and go from there. Now, as you can tell, I've got a lot, so you'll see how it says 250 litho 3MF. That's the one I'm looking for. It'll obviously upload here. It's going to take a minute as we're doing multitasking here. Now, once it's open, a couple settings you're going to look for. You're going to click the assembly button here. Your layer height, you want to make sure it's 1. Sparse infill density is another 1. You're going to go into quality, make sure that's set at 1. Keep everything else the same. You can go ahead and get rid of the triangle folds. That's fine. It doesn't matter. And then you're going to go into strength. The only thing you're going to change here is you're going to change the sparse infill density to 100 and make sure that pattern is rectangular. Don't really move this around. You don't need too much unless there's an error that pops up. And since we have the basic settings done, we can go ahead and do that. Now, for the light box, you can go ahead and click the light box and the light box guard. And sparse infill density, I drop down to 8. Change it from grid to gyroid, which you will see, there it is, there, and then that'll also help with that. So we'll click back onto plate 1, we'll do slice plate. Now what I like about this is each layer could have up to 2 colors or 3 colors depending on how you set this up or how many colors you actually have. You will see a warning that's going to pop up that is going to say um, enable support. You do not need to enable support. I do not recommend it. It will not do you any good. It will just eat up filament, so it's kind of a waste of time. With that being said, we're going to go ahead as soon as this finishes slicing, and we're going to go through the layers, and I will demonstrate what they look like, what to expect them to look like, and the final product here in just a few minutes, and then how I put the product together and how it looks fully done. So with this here, we'll go over the basic information. Your white is the most commonly used color, so make sure you have plenty of that. You can buy that independently without having to buy the bundle. Just make sure if you're buying PLA, you use PLA, not PETG, as those two don't stick together. So this print takes a total of 58.98 grams of white, 11.16 grams of blue or cyan, 6.78 of magenta, and 4.57 of yellow for a total of 81.49 grams. Filament change times 22, total cost $2.04. Print time is going to be 8 hours and 18 minutes. Obviously, it's a larger print, so it's going to take longer. The shorter the print, the better it's going to be. So let's go ahead and we'll zoom in here. You'll see a couple things I want you to notice before we really get into this is there are deep valleys and crevices. So these nice high layered areas are where your black is going to shine through, so it's going to be colored out. and these deep valleys are going to be where the color that you've chosen for that area has really come out. So pay attention to that and make sure that those valleys and all of those are there, um, or else you just won't get the color just kind of right. You'll see here where they've got these little mountains here. Those are where those jaded colors were that you saw in the previous picture. So you can tell you're getting the details. So now let's go ahead, and what we'll do is we will go to the very bottom layer here, and we'll go up layer by layer on this. And what we'll do is you'll see we're color blending already. So we'll go to layer 2, layer 1, we'll go up one layer at a time. So you can see where it put the yellow in the beak. It's going to have that nice blue background. And you'll see where we're starting to color blend kind of right here. So this is only one layer. This is why it's so important to have the AMS or any type of 4-color feeder, so you can have this, because you can't pause per layer. It changes quite a bit. So with that in mind, we can go up another layer and you'll see where it strengthens those colors quite a bit. And then it adds a little bit of yellow, because you'll remember from what we discussed, those blends will end up being a very nice, beautiful red, white, and then a blue background. And what that's going to do is, you saw where it added all that yellow in on the background. This is going to be that black background that we talked about. So it added all of the color mixes into there, and you can see how it's kind of building up layer by layer and thickness by thickness. And your overall total thickness is 2.5 millimeters, so it's not a real thick object, but it's definitely sturdy, especially with the 2.0 filament. So I'm going to reach over here, and we will grab the light box that we created. So this is your light box here, along with the cord in the back here, and I will try to get this up. You can see when I turn it on how it changes, and how we've got that nice beautiful red, the yellows, the clears, and you can change the light to dim it and make it different colors, which is kind of nice. So if you do all your prints the same size, what I like to do is you can take this little side piece off here, and then you can slide this right out. Now this gives you the ability to change which one you're doing and which one you don't want to do. And the nice thing is you can see that that back is a white layer, and the reason that is that is a diffuser. So it breaks up the light before it goes through, so it doesn't become too bright. As you can see, its thickness is still relatively thin, and you can see how those crevices are really inside there. Now I use 3M double-sided tape for my puck light, and you can see how I've just kind of mounted it in the middle, and I've taken off that main diffuser so that these LEDs show. So I won't blind you guys by turning it on, but that gives you an idea. And then all you gotta do is take this piece into here, line it up to the holes, slide it right back on, and then attach this piece to where it's got your little slats, and now you've got yourself a standing light box again. So I hope that kind of clears some things up. I'm going to go over it with another process here of something I've done before. Haven't done it in a little while though, because obviously tech has changed quite a bit. So give me just a second. I will go ahead and pull up what I need to for you guys to see. Alright, so coming back here, one of the other ways, the old school ways that we used to do this, was we used to go to lithophanemaker.com. You'd go into the tools, find the color lithophane maker, um, and this was one of the first kind of ways. So we're going to pull up one of our file pictures. We're going to, see there, you're going to choose your resolution here, um, switch it over to 0.1, layer height 1, first layer 0.2, color resolution you leave at 2.5, maximum thickness 2.7, which is fine. And what you're going to do is you're going to see here is we're going to click show selected image, and you'll see that's what kind of expects the image to look like. Alright, so once you do that, then you'll create your STL. It'll jump down into a bunch of advertisements and things like that. It's going to take a moment for it to download. And this was kind of a neat way of doing things, because it taught you how to really do it. This is where we started making basic lithophanes, the white, gray, black, easy ones. which is shadows, as you can see here on their setup here. Um, Once that downloads, I will go ahead and unpause and show you guys how to transport that and how to kind of make it fit for your printer. Alright, so once it downloads, you're going to go into your download folder and you're going to find where you stored it. It'll be a zip, and with the zip, you obviously want to unzip it. You're going to see where it shows up as white, yellow, cyan, magenta, and your settings. I don't really worry about the settings because I've done this so much, so I'll just kind of walk you guys through the basics here. You're going to open up Bamboo, and once it loads up, we're going to go ahead and set it. This generally works for just about any 4-color filament printer, whether it be Bamboo, the Flash Forge, um, the Anycubic, the Creality, any of them will really work, whether it's a CFS system, whether it's an AMS system, whether it's a IDEX system, or Vortex, or even Tool Changer. They'll go a lot quicker than what I'm doing here. So what you're going to do is you're going to Control I again. You're going to come in and you're going to find your download with all of this, highlight, open, and it's going to come up with a lovely question here in just a minute of do you want them imported as one or not. I got to remember if it's going to be imported as a single piece or as a multicolor piece. So we'll explore together here because I haven't done this way in a little while. Takes a little bit when you're doing multitasking on your computer and decoder's not working the best. Alright, so once it's loaded in, you're going to do load these files as a single object with multiple parts. You're going to do yes. And then it'll finish loading, and this is where it gets kind of fun. So you'll see it's right here. It doesn't quite look the same as what it used to be. So you'll see here it's got the deeper crevices and whatnot, which is great. You're going to have to do some work though here. So you're going to change this down to your 0.12 high quality, but you're going to change this to 0.1 if you remember that. Your strength is something else you're going to need. You're going to change that to 100%. You're going to make sure you click yes here, and I'll change it to rectangular for you. But now, this is where it gets fun, is you have to click objects. Now click objects, you remember how earlier I showed you these were all matching to what you already have preset here? So you're going to make sure that one stays white, that one stays white, and this one here, you're going to have to physically change to yellow. And then you're going to change that to cyan, and then you're going to change that one to magenta. Now you can do it. Now the difficult part about this is you have to create your own box for this. It's a lot thicker than the other one, and stuff like that. But you'll notice that the slicing, it takes a lot less time to print. There's probably a lot less purge and waste because it's going layer by layer at this point versus doing multiple colors on one layer. It doesn't come out quite as clean, and you'll see that here in a few minutes. I have an old tester here. I'll show you the before and after on what I did there, and it was one of the first times I used the lithomaker website and tried to do a color combination by myself. So you'll see how much further we've come along and trying to perfect the pictures and images and choosing what works best. So obviously, you're looking at a total of 36.69 grams for all the colors, so it saves you quite a bit. And you're also looking at only a 3 hour and 41-minute print time. But take into consideration you're going to have to do your own box creation and all that. So let's go through the layers. So layer one is obviously your base layer, and we can scroll up layer by layer here. You'll see where it's introducing colors and how it works, and then it just hardens up back into white. So same concept, but it's not as efficient, especially for bamboo. This is really good for any other printer if you don't want to have to mess with 3MF coating or stuff like that and you just want a straight STL. Go ahead and do it this way. Now, with that being said, I'm going to show you guys the old school one that we've done, and you guys can kind of judge how much it has changed. So I'm going to do this with a flashlight, so hopefully it works out pretty well. This is the way it's done. You can see it's one of my old Pokemons that I did for a friend of mine, and then let's see if that'll work. You can kind of see how the color pops. I was learning a lot, decided to go white. I don't like the white background, so we're going to have to change that at some point, but that's what it looks like. So there are ways to do it. You just have to remember you're going to have to spend a lot of time editing your photos to make it look right and make it look correct to match the CMKY and not the RGB that we're used to seeing. If you have questions, want to recommend another video, or would like to know anything, feel free to reach out and I will do my best. I will also drop the Facebook link so you guys can find me on the 3D printing group that we do. And from there, we'll go from there. So you guys have a great day.